What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the Soul Anarchist.
The Soul Anarchist podcast.
A show about living life on your own terms.
On your own terms.
Here is your host,
With my boy,
Paul Duane.
Brothers, sisters, and everyone in between, welcome to the show. Hey, today is episode number 400. We've turned 400 today. Yay! And today's episode is apropos for such an occasion. Here's the deal. A couple of weeks ago, a bunch of you just bombarded my social media and my inboxes with news stories from around the world about this guy who is this engineer. He's a married dude with kids who also loves Porsches, and he also loves to wear a combination of men's and women's things. And you sent me all these pictures of this guy wearing like a shirt and a tie and a jacket and then a skirt and then nylons and heels. And yeah, gee, isn't that familiar? And so I had to look him up. As it turns out, we've been connected on social media for a while. And so we started chatting. I said, Mark, you got to be on my show. We got to talk about this. And so that's what we're doing today. So seeing as we both appreciate fine hosiery, heels, and quality time in the garage, I suggested that we should conduct this interview with both of us wearing our finest in our respective garages. Mark Bryan joins us from his garage in Germany, where he's working on a vintage 1967 Porsche 911. We conducted this interview via Zoom, so there are a couple spots where the audio gets kind of scratchy, so just please overlook that. If you're interested in what this whole thing looks like, I've got a video version of the podcast available on the website at soulanarchist.com. So go over there and check out the show notes. And along with the video edition of this, you'll also see some other extra materials that come up during our conversation. A cool quote from Dr. Ferry Porsche, a Madonna song, some stuff like that. Before we get into the conversation, let's give some love to Five Wives Vodka. Five Wives Vodka is made with mountain spring water that comes down by hand. It doesn't just trickle down from the Ogden Mountains, but they go up and collect it by hand, bring it down to the distillery, and make Five Wives Vodka with it. It's one of the things that makes Five Wives so great. If you would like to get some Five Wives in your life, just go over to their website and you can order right from there and it'll be shipped to you. In most states, Utah is one of those states where we can't have it shipped to us. But the rest of you, you're going to go to fivewivesvodka.com. That's fivewivesvodka.com. Five spelled out, F-I-V-E, wivesvodka.com. Order yourself a bottle. And those of you who happen to live in Utah where Five Wives is made, you're going to go to the state liquor store and pick up a bottle there. Also, this show is brought to you in part by Audible. I'm an Audible affiliate. And so, it's really cool. If you're Audible curious, if you've always wanted to know what it's like to have books read to you instead of reading them to yourself because you want to multitask or something like that, today is your day. You can check it out. I can hook you up with a free month of service and a free audiobook of your choosing. Just go to paulduane.net/audible. That's PAULDUANE.net/AUDIBLE. paulduane.net/audible. Or you can just check out the show notes for today's episode. There's a link at the bottom of that. So just go to soulanarchist.com. You're going to find your way, right? So check out that, get your free book, and share it with a friend too. You can let your friends use that link as well, because here's the thing. You get the free month of service and the free book, and then the show makes a little bit of money when you do that. So we all win. It's very cool. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to native Texan, robotics engineer, father, husband, vintage Porsche fanatic, football coach, man in tights, heels, and a skirt, Mark Bryan. So first things first, tell me what you're wearing.
I'm wearing a pair of 4-inch pumps. I'm wearing some hose from Kara. I believe you know Christy.
Of course. Love her.
Yeah. And I'm just wearing like a denim black skirt. And actually been in the garage most of the day. So I'm wearing a thermal Under Armour shirt. So
nice. So most importantly, let's talk about that Porsche you're working on. Tell me the story there.
It's a 1967 Porsche 911. I'm in the process of replacing the floor pans. Basically, it's got a pretty good case of cancer, so I've got all the floor pans cut out. I've got them basically the new repo floor pans, basically kind of spot welded in, and I decided it was too big of a job laying on my back to do all this stuff. So then I got the crazy idea to build a rotisserie.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm in the process. Yeah, so I'm in the process of building a rotisserie now. So
you can just rotate the vehicle?
Yeah,
Up in the
just
air?
rotate like it's like a chicken on a rotisserie. So
That's awesome. So I mean, that takes a certain amount of skill to just come up with your own tooling. Tell me a little bit about your technical background and how this came
I'm a
around.
mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
I work for a robotic packaging company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so designing a rotisserie, of course I always do little things overkill. I could have done it a little bit easier, but I typically go on the internet and see what else everybody else is doing and see how can I make it better. And and I priced some rotisseries, and they were, people were wanting, 1,000 euros for it, and I said, I could build it for 200. So
Right. That's fantastic.
of course it takes a lot of time, but yeah. So basically, it's the Porsche. My wife and I just moved into a smaller house about 8 months ago. After her daughter moved out,
Okay.
we decided to just get us a smaller house.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of in the, when you move into a house, your wife has a whole lot of honeydews to do in the house itself, and the garage is the last thing.
Definitely.
So. So I'm slowly getting the garage where I get a little bit more time to spend in the garage instead of doing all my honeydew list, for the house. So
yeah, that's awesome. I've got some questions for you about home life in a minute, but while we're in the garage, tell me about the Porsche thing. Like, how did you get fascinated with Porsches, and what's the allure of that car for you?
Oh, the early models. They were, Porsche's always been small displacement.
Yeah.
And basically the allure of it was my dad was probably one of the first German trained Porsche technicians back in the late 50s.
Oh, wow.
That was German trained, here in the States, or there in the States. I'm no longer here in the States.
Right. Yeah. You're in Germany right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Germany right now. So he was one of the first American mechanics trained when Porsche started bringing cars over in the mid 50s.
Wow.
So that's, I grew up with Porsches. I've got pictures of me where I'm climbing all over, now very expensive cars.
Right.
I remember my dad had a Porsche. We had speedsters. He actually had a Spider at one time.
Yeah.
And they were always sitting in the garage. He raced them, so I was always climbing all over them and stuff. And now, like the Spiders, millions and millions dollars worth, and the Speedster is thousands and hundreds of thousands worth. So
right.
So those cars that I was climbing over as a kid, are worth a lot of money now. So I've always had the fascination with Porsches, and
yeah.
As I said earlier, Porsche has always been like the small displacement. They won a lot of races against the big cubic inch Ferraris and
right.
Maseratis and stuff like that, and Mercedes and stuff with a small displacement motor. Like their first 6-cylinder was just a 2-liter motor, but they're going up against the Ferraris and things, and so they're lightweight, good power for a 2-liter, and they handle very good. So
One of my favorite quotes when it comes to design and aesthetics is from Dr. Ferry Porsche. And I'll probably butcher it, but where he says, if you can create something that ignores all the eccentricities of the moment and, create something that's truly timeless, that's the ultimate victory.
Yeah. I mean, look at the 911. They first came out with the 911 body style in 1964.
Yeah.
65, 64. So, and, over the years, it's changed quite a bit. I mean, if you put my car next to a brand new 911, you can see some resemblance, but it's almost twice as big. It's about 1.5 times wider.
Right.
So but it's also got like, about 400 more horsepower too. So
aside from your own like family connection to it, what separates a Porsche from another automobile? The driving experience. What makes it different?
For one thing, it's still, there's still a small displacement motor. I think the Porsches these days are now either 3.8 liters or 4 liters. So there's still, small displacement compared to like the 5 liters and stuff that you typically see in the American cars. They're getting bigger and bigger, but the 4 liter, and they're able to get the new 911 G. Well, it's not new anymore, but the 911 GT 2 RS is almost like 750 horsepower out of a 6-cylinder motor. So
wow.
They're able to pump a lot of horsepower out of such a small small liter engine, and they're typically rear engines, so they handle very well.
Right.
That they're a little bit more difficult to learn how to drive.
Yeah.
But once you do learn it, I mean, the older cars a little bit more. The new ones basically drive themselves, with all-wheel steering and stuff like that. But it's just, I think, and they're very well-made cars. I've got a lot of friends when I was in States that, said, oh, you got to have a Corvette. Well, I get in a Corvette and the thing was a piece of crap, it rattled. Rattled. Everything looked cheaply made.
Right.
And it, I said, this is fun. It's a fun car. It's got a lot of power to weight ratio, but it's a piece of crap. There's nothing, everything's so cheaply made and then thrown together and stuff, where, the German or the Porsche and the German mentality is basically they do everything first class on everything. And I think that's true with Mercedes, the BMWs.
Audi is like that.
Maybe not wagons. Yeah.
I all my life I've always driven American and Japanese cars, and a couple of years ago I got my hands on an Audi A4, and so that was my first experience driving a German car, and it was a completely different experience. And I was blown away at just like what you said. The engineering was in a different class. They as the car aged, it maintained its integrity. The body stayed tight. Everything was really thoughtfully put together. What is it about German engineering? Like, why do the Germans do it better?
I've lived in Germany now for 11 years, and I work as an engineer here. I've worked with a lot of German engineers, and they're just they don't feel time pressured. In the States, it's always get things out, crank things out, get things done. We got deadlines and stuff. I think the Germans are just a little bit more methodical in their approach to how they do things. Okay. And I sometimes still get frustrated with some of my colleagues because it seems like it's almost overkill. They want to test everything. They want to do everything, make sure everything is right the first time.
Interesting.
And with my background in the States, I said, if it works once or twice, let's ship it. So right. So I mean, it's I think that's just a different mentality. And I don't know if it's specific just to German, or maybe it's just the German schooling, or it could be just the mentality of the Germans. I really don't know. So, but that's kind of what I've experienced. They just really take pride in what they do, and nothing's going to, get their approval unless it's absolutely perfect. And perfection and the time that takes, drives up the cost. And I think that's one reason why most German vehicles are a little bit more expensive than, say, the Jags or other cars or the American cars.
Certainly. So I'm curious, do you speak German at all?
I try.
Okay. Well, maybe, and I don't, but
for me, it's for.
Sorry, you're cutting out there. Let's go back just a second.
Yeah.
So you're saying you try to speak German?
I try. I mean, I've gone through German classes and stuff.
Yeah.
But my Texas accent just really doesn't let me pronounce some of the German words.
Yeah.
So
tell me this. I have a question about the German language and engineering. And I have this theory, and this is from a guy who doesn't speak German, but I've talked to people who do, and you're probably the best person to ask this to. So I've heard that in German, to gain precision in their words, they'll simply build out the word and add more parts to the word until they end up with a very long word, but it's very precise. And it means one thing. Whereas in English, we're very contextual. Like the word love can refer to anything from what I want on my pizza to how I feel about my children or and those are completely different constructs. I've wondered if the language itself is conducive to the way they build stuff.
Yeah, it could be. They have a lot more detailed, as far as, and I think that's one reason why it's so, so hard to learn, because they do have different descriptions for almost the same thing. What us English speaking, like you use the analogy, I love my pizza, but they would have a love eating, word for it. So, eat, I love to eat this. And they'd have that kind of word. So, that could be the correlation. They're a little bit more precise in their language, which may translate to the technology and the engineering thing, that everything has to be precise. Everything has to be, this way.
You said something earlier I thought was really interesting about them not being in a rush, and they allow time for proper process on things. And whereas the American way, as you pointed out, was if we can get to work twice, we're good. Let's move on to the next step.
Right.
Why is that? I mean, does that show up in other parts of German culture from what you've seen? I'm curious why they value that differently than we do.
I don't know if it's in other disciplines of German manufacturing and stuff, but I know. I could say, because, I not only work with engineers, but also work with, machinists, and, assemble mechanics and stuff that put together our machines and stuff. And, they're all pretty methodical in what they do. So, I would think they just, I think the pay scale here is a little bit more balanced. You don't have the, that they have the unions here, but they're really not quite the unions like in the States, where, most unions say you can't overwork our worker, or they have to meet a certain quota, or this, and if they do that, I think it's just the work atmosphere here is a little bit more relaxed, less pressure, and I think that makes people want to work a little bit harder and do things right the first time without being pressured, to get it out. So
that's such an interesting, almost paradox. The fact that there's less pressure actually yields in a higher quality output.
Yeah.
Also,
I think they enjoy what they're doing. So they take pride in what they're doing, whereas, say the guy building that Corvette, he all he wants is that paycheck. And and he's union, he wants to meet his quota and get out the door as quick as he can.
Yep.
You know, so
Yep.
I think some of them do take pride in what they do, but the few that I've talked to, I've done some projects in the Detroit area, and just having to meet a couple of guys who worked in assembly line, at a bar or something, and just get to talking and stuff, So yeah, I think just the mentality and is just a little different. I mean, the culture is different, the mentality is different.
That's so fascinating. Another place, I'll make a segue here into the elephant in the room. Another place where I've noticed a tremendous attention to detail in manufacturing is in the German hosiery makers, like Falk, for instance. Their stuff is just outstanding in a way.
Well, it's because they have that's because they have outstanding machines making it. So
yeah, what do you know about that process?
I know nothing about it.
You just know the machinery is better.
I know nothing about that kind of machinery. So
okay.
When I was in college, we had the textile engineering. They had a sock machine, and that's about the only thing I really got to know was they had a sock machine that made like the old tube socks,
right,
type thing. So that was kind of an interesting machine, but
yeah, I think the idea is similar, but just on a more refined scale.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fascinating. So yeah, let's go down that path for a minute. So, first of all, I mean, we've kind of known about each other from social media for a while, but the other 2 weeks ago, I started getting bombarded with people sending me stories about you that have shown up in the media, and everybody's like, "This guy reminds me of you," and so, and it seemed like there was this flurry of media attention. What happened there?
Well, I think I became aware of you. I think when a picture of you kind of went viral, were you standing at the airport waiting for your luggage? And that's how I came to learn about you and what you're doing. And so at that time I was already wearing skirts and high heels out to the office anyway. So I mean, okay, that's pretty cool. But I noticed that you wore more shorts.
Yeah.
Short shorts. And the pumps. So
yep.
Okay. And but you always had a jacket and tie on.
Definitely.
And I have what I call my skirt suits. I've had the pants. The pants were converted to skirts, so at least match.
Certainly.
So yeah, I mean, I met you, when that came out. But when my my Instagram account that I started was basically just to document what I was wearing.
Sure.
On a daily basis, because with all the different color shoes and different styles of shoes and different color skirts and different style skirts, you got quite the combination possibility.
Definitely.
And so I was documented basically on a day, so I wouldn't repeat myself. I can go back and say, oh, I did this combo already.
Okay.
Maybe I wear something different.
Yeah.
I think I'm not real sure exactly where this viral thing started, but I think it actually happened with some guy in Africa, had a couple of my pictures from Pinterest, and posted on Facebook. I think it was 2 pictures of me in my business suits.
Right.
Saying, would you do this, or what do you think, or I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But I think he had 500,000 followers or something. And I think that's kind of when it went viral and stuff. And the next thing I know, I'm on Twitter. Anything about it till my daughter, send me a WhatsApp going, "Dad, you're on Facebook." I go, huh? Yeah. And then, my Instagram account at that time was private.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started getting all these requests and it's like, I couldn't keep up with them. The first 2 days I spent hours, just looking at people. Okay. Yeah, you're okay. You're okay.
Right.
And then finally, one of the guys said, you need to go public, and make it a business account and, set yourself up, where you can maybe start making a little bit of money off this. And I go,
Yeah.
well, okay. And, at that point it went, before I went public, I only had like 200 followers.
Right.
And, now I'm approaching almost 250,000. I think,
that's amazing.
So yeah. And that's been within like 3 weeks.
That's nuts.
So yeah, it's going crazy. I'm not prepared for this. I'm not considered a tool or social media type thing. I'm getting better at it because I've been doing interviews and stuff like this for the last week and a half now. So
right.
I would say the only good thing about this COVID shutdown is I've learned how to use, Zoom and Skype and, and Microsoft Teams and stuff. I've learned how to do, a lot of these meetings and interview type things, over the internet. So
yeah,
I could say that's probably about the only good thing about this COVID thing is that I've learned how to be a little bit more social media available. So
right, that's cool. So what's in a nutshell? What's the story? How did you become? You mentioned you're from Texas. You can hear it in your voice a little bit. How did you become a guy from Texas to, like what's your origin story? What's the first time you put on a pair of heels and went, that makes sense to me?
Yeah, a long time ago in college. I dated. I was actually living with a girl. She was the same height as I was. I'm 6 foot. She's 6 foot.
Okay.
And our typical routine was we would come home from school or work and we eat something, then we sit down, watch TV, and time to get ready to bed. We put on like a Commodore's album or something, like an album, not a CD or anything. Put the old vinyl on.
Yep.
And we'd do like a couple of slow dances together. Well, she liked to wear high heels, and when she was wearing high heels, she towered above me. So, and she goes, "Well, you're just gonna have to wear a pair of high heels." And I go, "Okay." And just so happens, we're both 6 feet, but I have small feet for a man my size, and we just, it so happens we can wear the same shoe.
Okay.
So we ended up, doing, maybe 2-3 times a week. We'd, in the evening with a couple of slow dances, us both wearing heels.
Nice.
And that's kind of how I got kind of started in the high heels.
Yeah.
And it's, that was 40 years ago. There'd be times when I go, maybe a 10-year stretch where I wouldn't even think about wearing heels.
Sure.
And then I'd see, a pair of heels. Like, wow, that looks pretty good. Maybe I, go out and buy another pair of shoes. And
bring me to the place in your life where it comes back on your radar so much that now you have this awesome personal style, and now you're this internet famous guy. Like, let's go back into your story here.
About 5 years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago. So, basically, the wife and I were looking for something to wear to a costume party, and it ended up, being like a fairy princess or something like that.
Yeah.
So she said, "Well, you need to go get you a pair of high heels." And I told her, that I'd worn high heels before and stuff, but
yeah,
only kind of like in a brief passing, when she was wearing heels. And she, "Oh, my feet are hurting." I said, "Yeah, I know how you feel." She goes, "Well, how do you know how you feel?" I said, "Oh, I used to wear high heels."
Right.
And,
back in college.
Yeah. So yeah. So, so we were looking for a Halloween costume and stuff. And she was said, okay, we need to go get you a pair of high heels.
Right.
And, that was about a little over 5 years ago. About 5 years now because of Halloween. So, yeah. I mean, and since then it's basically been, I started wearing a little bit more often. We'd go out to dinner with me just wearing pants and the high heels, kind of covered the high heel a little bit. But, and then, I actually wore, started wearing it to work a little bit, and my colleagues would look and say, they go, Mark's wearing, high heels. You see what he wears,
Right.
So, I came to talk in the office for a little bit and then I think they just kind of got used to it because, after a couple of months of, wearing it once or twice a week, I just kind of went daily on it and, I got a couple of more pairs of shoes and stuff. And then the joke became, one of these days Mark's gonna come in wearing a skirt or a dress,
Hold my beer.
So, yeah, exactly. So I mean, it was kind of a joke, well, don't be surprised, someday if I come in and I'm wearing a skirt or something. So
yeah.
And then I thought about it and then I go, okay, I'm going to do this and went and bought a skirt, tried it on and looked at my I put it on. I came outside the dressing room. There was people all around, and here I am wearing a skirt, in the dressing room and looking in the mirror to see how I looked. And it doesn't look too bad, so it just felt normal to me. I mean, I didn't feel like I was really out of place wearing that or anything. So I felt very comfortable wearing it. So I didn't feel, odd or different or anything like that. It just felt comfortable. And again, I said, I really don't care what people think anymore. So,
yeah.
and I go, that was good. So, I bought the skirt because it, looked good. And, then, a few weeks after I did that, then I actually got, it was kind of nerve-wracking the first day I worked, but once I got there, I got to work and no one really, they noticed, but, I think everyone kind of expected it sooner or later. So,
sure.
So it wasn't that big of a deal. And then, then I just started doing it daily, every day. And it just became my routine. So
Mark, you do this thing that is rare, and that is you straddle these worlds that are both like conventionally masculine and conventionally feminine. And it just like you said, I love what you said. When you put on that skirt, you're just like, it makes sense. Like it doesn't feel weird or out of place. It just felt right. Yeah. How do you account for that?
I don't know. Maybe, my parents did a good job of raising me where I wasn't critical of other people, how other people acted, because we know we're all different. Everyone's going to be different. There's no one's exactly the same out there, even identical twins. Right. They're going to be a little bit different. And I think I was just raised to accept people being different.
That's really interesting.
Naturally, if I'm going to be different, why can't people accept it? So, and that hasn't been the case. I get a lot of name calling and stuff like that. But
sure.
Well, I think I do. I'm walking in an airport train station and stuff, and I see people, looking at me, and then I hear, laughter behind me. I don't know if they're laughing at me or someone else is laughing because someone told a joke or something.
I know that feeling.
But your subconscious is, you think, oh, they're laughing at me. But in reality, you don't know for sure if they are or not. And what I've experienced is most people look at you and they go, okay, that's kind of weird. And then they forget what they just try to get it out of their mind. And they go about doing what they were doing before they saw you.
Right.
I think of it as if, if I'm walking down a hallway and I see some guy come to me and he's got this bright green hair,
Yeah.
I'll look at him and I'll go, okay, that's different or odd. But as soon as he passes, I'm back to what I was doing. My mind's
For
right
sure.
there. So I think that's a mentality I think a lot of people do. And I think, a lot of people say, well, how do you do it? And I said, because really nobody cares. Nobody really cares what you're
Right.
doing because they don't know you. You don't know them. So, I just got over the it really wasn't a fear. I just, understood that, what I'm doing, most people really don't care what I do.
Right. So here's another. I get a lot of people on my social media that come to me saying, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could do what you do. I love to wear tights, or I love to wear heels, or I love to wear skirts, or whatever. Fill in the blank of some conventionally ladies thing, and they just wish they could do it too." Have you gotten a lot of that?
Oh yeah, my this I've got I get hundreds and hundreds of messages from straight guys
Yep.
straight guys that says I love what you're doing,
Yep.
how do you do it? And I tell you, you just got to go out and do it. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid. But I get a lot of messages, and surprisingly a lot from straight women that have a fear of wearing men's clothes.
Really?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I get a lot of women that says, hey, thank you for opening people's eyes, giving me the strength to do it. I'm a straight woman, but I like to wear men's clothes, but I just don't want to be, people think I'm lesbian or butch or dyke or something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they'll say they're afraid of being called like men are. We're afraid of being called gay or queer or something like that. So
Sure.
Women have the same anxiety that men do that venture out wearing something not normal.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
So I mean, and that's almost like on a daily basis, And I even get mothers that have children that are 10, 11, 12 years old. Little
Mhm.
boys want to wear a dress or something.
Yeah.
And they said, you helping me, I showed, the mothers will say, I showed my son your pictures, and he became so happy because now he understands that everything's okay. That's going to be normal and stuff like this.
Sure.
I say, well, that's great. And, I always reply that you're a great mother because she is, she's letting her son, be himself and be able to express himself. So,
Right.
I'm surprised I get, maybe one of those. I've probably received maybe 10 or 15 of those kind of messages.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised. So it's and a lot of people say, "Oh, Mark, you're opening doors. You're opening people's eyes. You're helping make this world a better place by being more receptive to gender and stuff like this." And
Yeah.
if that's what my purpose of doing this, wasn't my original purpose, but if that's what it becomes, then that's what it becomes, and that's what
Sure.
I'm going to keep doing it. And if it does help the world become a better place, more accepting of people that are different, then that's what I'm going to do.
I love that. Isn't it cool how you just doing the thing you love to do, the thing that just makes you feel good in your own skin, can also drastically make the world a better place? By you just simply indulging your own interests.
I don't know about drag.
Well, for some people, like you're saying, like some of these moms, you've made a drastic impact
for some
on
people. Yeah,
some kids. Yeah, some people along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had people say, write me, said, Mark, can I ask you a few questions? I'm a college student. I'm doing an essay on, gender stereotypes and stuff like that. I'd love to interview you. And I had one of the students ask me a question like, how would you feel if what you represent as far as non-gendered clothing, how would that make you feel? Or would you be totally accepted of that? And, my first thought was, oh yeah, that would be great. But, not non-gendered clothing and people accepting people to not associate clothing with a gender or sexual orientation.
Yeah.
If that happens, that's great. But there's still a bigger issue with the racism and with racism and religion differences and stuff like that. That's much more important than gender clothing.
For sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, if people are more understanding about what a person wears and not dictating what gender they are or what their sexual orientation is, then if that helps relieve some of the tension for people worrying about what color skin they are or what religion they are, if they just realize they're still a person and don't associate with their religion what they're doing and stuff like that versus what a person wears, what sexual orientation he is. If this clothing thing opens other people's minds to that, then that opens their mind a little bit more to be accepting, the racism and the religion conflicts and all these other things that are much more serious and more threat to society than me wearing a skirt and high heels.
Right. I love that. So
you're drinking coffee, I'm drinking beer. Time change.
Nice. Yeah, it's early in the morning over here still. Well, it's not that early. It's 10, 11 o'clock. But I'll be, as the day moves on, I get working on this a little bit more. I'll definitely get into the beer fridge. So.
Yeah.
For sure. So let me ask you this about this idea of gendered clothing. There are some people out there in this little, subsection that you and I exist in of society that want to say, like you said, like clothing doesn't need to have a gender, Eddie Izzard was famous for saying when people would say you're wearing women's clothes and he'd say, no, they're my clothes.
Right.
I think that's kind of interesting. So I'm of the camp of, yeah, these are women's shoes and I'm a man and I don't care.
Right.
That's my perspective on it. And yes, nylons are conventionally a woman's thing and I'm okay with wearing them. It doesn't bother me that they come from the women's department. Like that's completely cool. There are other people who really want to normalize it more as a man's thing. And there are a lot of companies that have been trying to market to that. And anyway, so what's your take on that? Like, where do you fall on that dial?
Well, I mean, I use the term non-gendered clothing, but, when people ask me what I wear, I say, I wear a men's button-down shirt. I wear a men's jacket. I wear a men's tie, but I wear a women's skirt and I wear, women's heels. And hose.
Yeah.
But if I was saying what I've been preaching, I would say I wear a non-gendered shirt, I wear a non-gendered skirt, I wear non-gendered shoes, and I think that would just confuse people. So
yeah.
I when I first started, when I first got quoted and stuff, I always said I wear a men's shirt, but I wear what I consider non-gender clothing underneath. They go, well, wait a minute. He's saying he wears a men's shirt. Well, isn't that genderizing what he's wearing? The shirt.
Absolutely.
And that's a true statement. And yeah. I mean, it's I wear a men's shirt, women's skirt, women's shoes, and hose. Yeah. But technically, I would say if I was saying what I've been preaching about non-gendered clothing, I'd say I wear a non-gendered shirt, a non-gendered skirt, non-gendered shoes, and hose that has no gender to it also. Right. But I think that just confuses people. So, I'm actually saying I wear a men's shirt, women's skirt, women's heels, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But hopefully it becomes, to the point where I'm just buying a skirt, I'm buying heels, I'm buying a shirt, and there's no gender tied to it.
Do you ever listen to Madonna?
Oh yeah, I used to. I don't listen to her much more anymore, but.
So she has this song on her Ray of Light album that came out in the late 90s, and it's called What It Feels Like for a Girl. I think it's on that album. And it starts out, and if you haven't heard this, you should definitely go listen to it. It starts out with this little spoken word section, and she says, girls can wear their hair, this way and that way, and they can wear jeans with holes in them, and they can wear short things. And she goes, secretly, you would like to know what that's like, but you can't, because it basically, I can't quote the lyrics right now. Actually, yeah. I could, and it's important to. Hold on. This is so relevant to the conversation. Let me get these lyrics out, and I want to share this with you and get your response to it, because it's so poignant. Okay, hold on a second. Madonna, What It Feels Like for Girl lyrics. Okay. She goes, girls can wear jeans and cut their hair short, wear shirts and boots because it's okay to be a boy. But for a boy to look like a girl is degrading, because you think that being a girl is degrading. But secretly, you'd love to know what it's like, wouldn't you? To what it feels like for a girl. And what do you think of that? Like, she's basically saying, like, it should be a two-way street, but it's not, because some people think that there's something degrading about femininity inherently. And so that's why, like, even what you're just saying, like, it's okay, you can be like, well, it's a men's shirt, but these are non-gendered high heels. Like, there's this weirdness about stripping away the woman's title from it.
Yeah, I think men are afraid to show their femininity. But I really don't have any femininity at all. I don't feel feminine when I'm wearing a skirt and high heels. That's I think one of the things. I don't feel like I'm girly or feminine or anything. I just feel like I'm just wearing high heels and a skirt.
Right.
It's to me, it's not a sexual thing. It's just a way of expressing a fashion choice that I've made.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, but I understand, why people would think that, wearing something, makes you less of a man. I get comments on my, from followers, more of the hate stuff, well, I want my man to be a real man, so,
right. I hear that all the time too.
So, and I feel like replying, well, honey, I am a real man. So,
right.
But, I don't want to antagonize people and stuff. If they're entitled to their opinion, just like I'm entitled to what I want to wear. I'm entitled to wear what I wear. And if they want to make an opinion, they're entitled to it. So,
right. So what do you, I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here, Mark.
Okay.
You're on one hand, you're saying, like, I don't feel feminine, and yet, the way you're dressing and the way you're sitting, and there are certain aspects of your presentation that some people will be like, no, that is feminine. So, like, how do you reconcile that stuff?
I can't cross my legs like I used to.
Yeah. Looks like you're doing a pretty good job now.
It's, I just got tired of sitting this. I had to stretch some legs. I don't quite have the finesse you have right now. So, for me, it's a struggle. I mean, to sit like this, but,
so why do it?
Why not just put my ankles on my knee? I don't know. It's
yeah. Like, so why? Yeah. Why? Yeah. If it's a struggle, why sit like that? I'm curious.
Yeah. Just to move around a little bit. So, Yeah, I think it's not being feminine or anything, but when you are wearing a skirt, you don't want to sit, with your legs apart, or
Right.
or with you want to have a little bit of decency with it.
Sure.
So you have to adapt the way you cross your legs or the way you sit and stuff like that. That just comes with wearing a skirt. I don't associate with being feminine or active feminist or being ladylike or anything. It's just being conservative, not ladylike, but just being conservative and not flashing yourself to everybody. So
sure. I made that mistake once. People are always like, "Why don't you wear a skirt?" Or I'm like, "Well, I did make that. I tried that one time on stage, and I was informed the next day that I didn't do it very well." So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's the thing. When you wear a skirt, you have to become a little bit more conscious of what how you're moving around, how you get up,
right.
how you sit down.
That's why I like shorts, man.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Yep. So, I'm sure you've answered this a million times, but in a nutshell, like, what was your wife's response? When it went from kind of getting back to this part of your story we glossed over, Halloween costume, yeah, that's great, that's cool, into like, this is actually kind of a cool fashion. I want to adopt this full time. Like, how did that land with her?
Yeah. At first she was a little puzzled why I wanted to do that.
Right.
I think at first she actually questioned my sexuality.
Oh yeah.
What
was that like for you?
I think at first, I think she questioned, if I was turning gay or something. But
right.
I think it was just for a brief moment.
So when your wife for a minute was questioning your sexuality, how did that feel to you? Like, how did you, as the man in the marriage?
No, I was just kind of, I kind of understood what she was thinking. So,
yeah,
I just gave her the assurances. Hey, listen, no, it's just clothes. It's just something I want to do. It has nothing to do with what I'm feeling sexually or anything like that.
Right.
So, and I think her thoughts only, I think, she may have had these thoughts for maybe a week or a couple of weeks or something like that. But, now she's, very supportive. My birthday was in September, and she found me a nice purse that matched a pair of shoes that I've been trying to find something to match the shoes with. So
sure,
she's all behind, and if I come out wearing something that doesn't look right, she'll say, no, Mark, you got to go change. So
that's great.
So she's supportive. She's not liking my newfound fame that much. For one thing, it's taking a little bit more of my time.
Sure.
And also is just taking up some privacy, because I have people asking for interviews, but they also want to interview her too.
Sure.
And
that makes sense.
And her thoughts are, it's okay. She goes, Mark, it's okay. You're out there. You're in the public. The whole world can see you wearing a skirt and high heels. But I'll support you. But I want to maintain some privacy in our lives.
Right. Definitely.
And I can respect that. And I understand, because we don't want people to find out where we live. We don't want. It's bad enough if I have media people calling me at the office. They found out where I work, numbers, calling the office, ask interviews.
Right.
And she's afraid that they'll end up getting back to her where they're calling her for interviews and stuff. So I'm just trying to keep her out of this limelight, and keep our family a little bit more private.
Definitely.
As much as we can, because
a
lot of people have good intentions, but there's also a lot of weirdos out there that
absolutely
that don't like what I'm doing, and they could be very threatening, that kind of stuff too. So you have to take a little bit of care when you're kind of living on the edge like like this. So
Yes. So my listeners will be they won't forgive me if I don't ask this question. What about your kids? Tell me about how that dynamic works.
well, my kids are the age from 41 to 33. So, I told when I told my younger daughter, she goes, "Oh, Dad, that's just great,"
Yeah.
So, and she's the one that told me, "Dad, you're on Facebook," so.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
she's made some comments on Instagram. "Oh, Dad, I love your shoes. When you gonna let me borrow them?"
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
But she lives 5,000 miles away. So
Gotcha.
plus we wear a different size. She couldn't wear my shoes anyway. So, but no, the kids are very supportive. I mean,
Yeah. Were you nervous
when I talked to them, I said, "Hey, I got something to tell you, but don't worry, I'm not gay. I'm not this, it's just that this is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and all of them said, oh, Dad, that's okay. Whatever you do, we'll support you,
Oh, cool.
so you've got our support and stuff, so
That's beautiful.
My younger daughter is actually a little bit more supportive than the others, but that's just because I talk to her more often.
Okay. That's a beautiful thing. So, there are people listening to this conversation right now that are in the middle of that do this privately. I know we kind of talked about this earlier. There are tons of people who have a thing in their life that they want to share with their significant other. They want to share with their partner. They want to share with their kids. They don't want to hide anymore. What do you want them to know right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're wanting to come out and not hide it, you just have to be honest with yourself first.
Okay.
You have
tell
to
me more about that.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to, you can't hide it from your friends and keep things inside and just be yourself. You can't pretend like you're somebody else and you're just masquerading. You just have to be yourself and accept that this is what you're going to do and stuff.
And when you say be honest with yourself first, is that what you're talking about? Or is
well,
there some
you have
other
to be
aspect?
honest with yourself. I had to be honest with myself. Do I really want to do this? Is it worth the risk?
Oh yeah.
Of possibly my career, my family, stuff like that. And you have to be honest with yourself. Is this really worth all of it?
Right.
To do this. I mean, is this something you really want to do and stuff? And I kind of came into it, pretty slowly. But there's a lot of people out there that my understanding is, they've been in the closet for so long.
Yeah.
They just want to jump out and do exactly what they want to do. But I came into it pretty slowly. I inched my way into wearing high heels.
Right.
Once or twice a week, and then went full time. Then went with the skirt. So it's more gradual. But you really just to be honest with yourself and say, is this me? Is this what I really want to do?
Yeah.
And don't put any pressure on you or your family or something. Make sure that what you're doing isn't going to affect others.
Right. You mentioned having to consider whether this would affect your career. Was there a point where that was on the table, where that was a possibility,
Not until recently. Not until
Really?
when the media starts. Not until until the media starts calling my office and I had pictures of me on Instagram with me, pictures of me, photos of me in the office and stuff. With me sitting behind my computer desk, sitting in the hallway of the office and stuff. And it was okay until all the social media started grabbing pictures and publish them in papers and stuff like this, people coming by the office and stuff. So, they asked me if I would take the pictures off my Instagram account. And I said, yeah, I have no problem doing that. We support you, but we want you to keep this a little bit more on your private side and not your professional side.
Right.
So, and I understand. I mean, I know that I won't get fired because I wear, high heels and a skirt to work.
Yeah.
But, if I bring, unwanted attention to the work for the wrong cause and something, then, it becomes a little bit more difficult to manage.
Certainly. Yeah, that makes sense. So, at the end of the day, doing something like this comes with certain risks, certain potential liabilities. And yet this is, your authentic you. And you had to weigh those things out. Like, why did it weigh out in the favor of living authentically versus living safely for you?
Well, I think one of the things was I was bored. One thing, I was bored wearing the same, black, brown, gray, navy blue suits to work every day.
Right.
I was basically bored. And to me, it was worth, I think my life needed to have this change because it actually made me feel a little bit more alive and younger and stuff. I mean, that's,
Okay.
I was thinking about the, early retirement and stuff, but I'm actually having a lot of fun now, working and stuff that, I may continue working for another 5-6 years. So when I was actually thinking about early retirement, because I was just bored with, and I think it's just bored with what I was wearing, my appearance and stuff like that. But now I have a little bit, a little bit of energy to get up in the morning, get dressed, to go to the office. So I think that's kind of driven me a little bit, just feeling alive, I guess. I think it gives me a reason to, it's not like a sexual arousal or anything like that. It's just more like an inner confidence,
Right.
And, and that's another thing, that I've been asked about. It's all has to do with how you feel about yourself. And I feel very confident with what I'm doing. And that's actually helped me. I realized in the last couple of years that this confidence I have in how I chose to dress has actually made me a little bit more confident in other things I do.
Like?
I coach American football here in Germany. So I'm the head coach of the high school kids.
I love that.
And I actually feel I have a little bit more confidence in myself. Like when, we have a tough game and I'm having to make the right call, get the right players in the right position stuff. I actually feel more confident. I don't question myself that much anymore like I used to.
That's
and
huge.
I think that comes from having a confidence to do what I'm doing right now and accept it. So, as I said, be honest with yourself,
I love that point. That by this one corner of your life where dressing in a way that resonates with who you are and how you feel good in the world has lit you up as a human and given you more energy and power in other places. That's really fascinating. Everyone's going to wonder, do you wear your heels to the football field?
No, I don't even wear skirts. So
Yeah.
Have you ever walked in stilettos on grass?
Yeah, it's terrible.
It doesn't work.
Idea.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So no, I can't wear a skirt and high heels 24/7.
Right.
So,
but why not? Why not wedges? Or is there something else about why you wouldn't wear that stuff to the football field?
Just well, I think it's most of my clothes are designed for office wear. I mean, if you look at my style and stuff, it's more of an office wear type thing.
Right.
It fits in the office environment. I don't wear platform shoes because platform shoes to me are more like a party shoe and not an office appropriate shoe. So, all my shoes have either no platform or very, maybe a quarter of an inch platform. So, and I think that's also, if you're going to go to football practice, you got to wear what's practical.
For sure. I get that. I feel exactly the same way. I was just curious how it went for you.
Yeah. I mean, like when you ride your motorcycle, I'm sure you don't wear, open-toed sandal heels when you're riding your motorcycle because it's not practical to wear open-toed shoes or heels. So, so I mean, it's the same thing with football, and it's just, as I said, I can't wear a skirt 24/7. It's more just a work type thing. Sure. Now, evenings, if the wife and I want to go to dinner or something, occasionally I'll wear a skirt. Sometimes I'll wear pants. Shopping, going weekends and stuff. You probably see me in a pair of jeans or something, or jeans and tennis shoes or something. So I'm not in a skirt 24/7, but if we go shopping, go into the bigger cities to go shopping or something, I'll wear a skirt and some low heel wedges or something, or block heel.
Right.
Something that's a little more comfortable to walk in.
Nice.
But no, I don't wear a skirt 24/7. So, I wear, when I'm in the garage, just kind of cleaning up and getting things organized so I can do things. I'll wear a skirt and I'll wear my boots. And that's fine. But if I'm, having to crawl underneath the car and do this and do welding or grinding or something, I'll put on a pair of pants.
Sure.
I didn't even do that when I was, before I was wearing. I didn't even wear shorts when I was doing welding or grinding or anything. So,
so you're a practical man, Mark.
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, this has been a really, really great conversation. I'm sure we could just keep going down all kinds of rabbit holes, but let's, I want to let you get on with your day. But what's just one last bit of advice that you would give to people that are out there that have something in their life, whether it's something they're going to wear, maybe it's a career change, maybe it's a political thing, maybe it's a sexuality thing, maybe it's a whatever, but there's something about themselves that is true that no one else knows yet, but they really want to share it with the world, but they're scared.
I think,
what do you want them to know?
I think the biggest thing that I touched on earlier, just having confidence in yourself, no matter what you do. You got to believe in what you're doing is right, and you have to know if you're going to do it, you're going to do it the right way. Right. So, and you really have to, have confidence in yourself. And I think if you have confidence in yourself, the confidence, people will see that confidence, and I think they'll have more respect for you because they see that. I think I'm fairly confident in what I do. So, if I'm walking in the airport or train station stuff, your posture gets better when you're wearing high heels. So you're a little bit more upright. You're a little bit more upright. Your head's a little bit higher, just because you can't be hunched over forward, or you'll just keep falling forward and you can't stop.
Yep.
So your posture's a little bit better, and that kind of gives you some confidence also, because now you're standing a little taller and more erect, and it's kind of like strutting like the rooster, strutting with your chest out, and you got that walk, that gait that you have. So that kind of builds a little bit of confidence. But I think if you have confidence in yourself and you go out in the world, people will see that.
Definitely.
If you don't have it, all they see is someone that's weak and scared. And if you're weak and scared, I use the analogy, that's when the wolves will attack, because the wolves are predators.
Absolutely.
They like to attack, the weak. And
absolutely.
And basically, the bullies and the people that can't understand it, they'll see that weakness, and that's when they attack with the verbal abuse or physical abuse or something like that.
Yep.
But if you walk tall and confident, like you know what you're doing and you believe in yourself, people will leave you alone.
Yep. I absolutely agree. 100%. That's been my experience too. Love it.
Yeah.
That's a perfect note to wrap things up on. Mark, I so appreciate your time. Thanks for letting us hang out in your garage.
No problem. Thanks for it's a nice bike. I'm not a big motorcycle fan, but my son just bought him a bike, and my brother, he's been the big biker. So.
Oh, that's fun. There's nothing like it.
So, yeah, I think you got an interview with Christy.
I do
next week
on Wednesday. Yeah, I'll be talking to Christy with Kara Hosiery.
Yeah.
So yeah.
She told me to tell you hi. So
awesome. Yep. Well, today was perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping we would achieve. So.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, stay in touch. Let me know if I can do anything for you. And thanks again for your generosity today.
Sure.
There you have it, Mark Bryan. Mark, thank you so much for your time. That was really a lot of fun. I loved all the different topics we got to cover. So good times. If you've enjoyed today's show, share it with a friend. You can do that by sending the link straight from soulanarchist.com. We're also on Spotify, on Apple Music, we're on Amazon Music, and all the other podcasting platforms, so it's easy to help them find the Soul Anarchist podcast on whatever they listen to. If you've loved this show, please show your love by buying some cool Soul Anarchist swag. We've got t-shirts, we've got hats, we've got mugs, things like that over at the Soul Anarchist store. Just go to soulanarchist.com and you'll see a link for the store. So hop on over there and represent with us, will you? If you'd like to access extra members-only content, extra benefits, things like photo essays, blog posts, and other perks like you're about to see, you can join the Soul Anarchist Society, and this is another way of supporting the show and keeping it up and running. One of those perks is getting a live shout out on the air from me like this. Hey, Ben Richardson and Daniel Dumbrell and Jake Cope and Gary and Rachel and Grant Robbins and Jake Garn and Michael A. Thank you so much for being such consistent and dedicated supporters of the show. I can't do it without you. Everything else you need, past shows, blog posts, social media links, everything is at soulanarchist.com. Keep up the fine work. Keep living authentically. Mark is an amazing example of that. You can be an amazing example of that too, in some way in your own life. Whatever that looks like, there's value in it because people watch you. And when they see you doing that in your own life, it gives them the courage and the inspiration to be more authentic in theirs. And this kind of thing has huge implications for healing society. But aside from that, it's just really fun. It just feels good. It's amazing. It's the best. All right, my friends, I'm good. Are you good? We are all good. Until next time.